Hi, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joybaking.com. Today we're going to make Irish soda scones, or maybe you pronounce them scones. And this is what they look like. These have a crisp, golden brown outside crust, yet inside they are wonderfully soft and tender. You could serve them for breakfast with butter and jam, or they're really good with soups or stews with butter and maybe a slice of cheese. So the first thing that you will need to do is to preheat your oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 220 degrees Celsius. It's a really hot oven, and that way we're going to get that really nice golden brown crisp outside crust. And then you will need a baking sheet. I've lined mine with a piece of parchment paper. You could lightly oil it or even spray it with one of those non-stick sprays. Now, Irish soda scones is a quick bread, like Irish soda bread. And what that means is that the scones get their rise not from yeast, but from baking soda. So they're really quick and easy to make. Like from start to finish, you maybe under a half hour. So it's, you want something really quick, this is the thing to make. So Irish soda bread, scones. Really, the scones is just we're making a round, and instead of baking it off like Irish soda bread in a round, we're just going to cut it into triangles. Same thing. Really, four main ingredients. We got the flour, we got the salt, baking soda, and buttermilk. That's it. I mean, it's really easy to make. And I like to make them by hand, because that way I can feel the dough, because if you use a mixer, sometimes you can overmix and then your scones will be tough, which of course nobody wants. So it's a large bowl. You will need 3 cups, which is 390 grams of flour. Now, today I'm using all-purpose flour, plain flour. You could use also whole wheat flour, or you could even use, sometimes I use a combination of half all-purpose and half whole wheat. So you can kind of experiment, see what your family likes. And then to that, I'm going to, like I said, we need baking soda. That's what gives the rise to these. 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of baking soda. And 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of salt. I'm using kosher salt. And I know, please, no comments. I know I'm not supposed to do this. Traditionally, it's just the 4 ingredients. But I like a little sugar. I know I'm not supposed to, but I really do, so I'm going to add 1 tablespoon, 15 grams of granulated white sugar. You can leave it out for those that say that's not what you're supposed to do. I know. And then I'm using a whisk. You just use a fork, spoon, your hands to just mix everything together. You really want to mix that baking soda in there, so because if you get clumps of baking soda, it can taste a little bitter. So that's why it's really important to mix that in. And then I'm making like a little well in the center. And you will need about 1.5 cups, 360 milliliters, 360 grams of cold, I'm using cold here, buttermilk. You can buy your buttermilk. You can buy buttermilk powder, and usually on the back of the container it'll say how much water you need and how much the powder you need to make 1.5 cups. Or you can make what is called sour milk. So you take 1.5 cups, 360 milliliters, grams of just milk, and you would add 1.5 tablespoons of either like lemon juice or vinegar. Stir that together, just let it sit on your counter for about 10 minutes, and you have sour milk. You can use that instead of the commercially made buttermilk. So now, I'm not going to add the full 1.5 cups, because you never know how much of the flour, how much liquid it's going to absorb. So I'm going to leave like a little left, just in case. It depends really on how your flour was transported and stored. So, and then I'm just going to gently mix this in. You could use your hands, a fork. I'm just using a spatula. I will get my hands in here in a minute. So what we're looking for is just to moisten the flour. Let's get a scraper here. This is the part, you know, a light touch. Probably gonna need a little more, but you know what? I'm gonna get my hands in there. It's the best way, by feel. Just toss it. Starting to come together. I'm just going to add just a touch more. You don't want to add it all at once. It can get too wet, and then you have to add a little more flour, and you got to work it, and then you end up with a tough soda bread, which we don't want. I think that's about right. Kind of cleans the bowl when I work it around. Your hands get very messy. I will show you how to get rid of all that sticky batter. Okay, so now you will need some extra flour. Let's put it down on your surface. And like I said, the less we work this, the better. So I just want to make sure that all the flour is moistened. And then I'm going to pat it. You can, I mean, I have a rolling pin here. You could roll it, but you know, I'm just going to pat it into a 7-inch, 18-centimeter round. I mean, I have a, if you're not, you know, it's your first time, you can get a ruler out. Just, I'm just going to eyeball, because it really isn't that critical. It doesn't have to be smooth on top. Now, cleaning your hands. What I do, because it's kind of messy, take a little flour, take your bowl, and then just kind of rub it. And you'll get rid of most of that stickiness. Okay. Now, so there, if you were making Irish soda bread, that's what you would do. And if you want, you go to the joyabaking.com website, and also on the YouTube channel, I have a recipe for just the Irish soda bread. But like I said, we're making scones or scones. So that's about right. So now you can take a knife if you want, or if you have one of these like bench scrapers. I'm just going to cut the circle in half. Now I'm making fairly large. I'm going to make 6. If you want, you can make 8. So you could cut this in half and that, but I like them big, so I'm going to make 6 today. And don't worry if they're all not exactly the same size. And just space them. Some people like to put them fairly close together so they rise straight up. You know, I don't care if they're a little lopsided, so that's what I like about scones. They're kind of, you know, so they're not perfect in shape. Makes them interesting. So there, and then I'm going to brush the tops. You can use buttermilk, you could use milk, cream. It just helps with browning. So just use a pastry brush and brush the tops. And if you want to just add a little interest, you could dust the tops with a little bit of flour. Sometimes I do that. Kind of makes it look more rustic. So how long did that take? I mean, if you were like, didn't have any bread in the house and you kind of had a pot of stew or, you know, soup on the stove, boom, and you've got them made. So now, everyone's oven is a little different. I'm going to say 18 to 20 minutes. They're going to rise, they're going to turn a beautiful golden brown. If you kind of tap them, they sound hollow. You could, I usually just go by, you know, I've made them so often I just go by eyeball, but you could take a toothpick and insert it into center and it will come out clean. I'm going to say 18 to 20 minutes. I do like to rotate my baking sheet front to back about halfway through. So. Okay, so our scones are ready. Don't they look wonderful? I like the little bit of flour I put on there. Just kind of give them like a little rustic look. Golden brown, and you see on the bottom, nice golden brown. So, put your baking sheet on a wire rack. I'm going to let them cool down a little, and then when we come back, we will try one. So I let the scone cool a little, but it's still nice and warm. These are, if you can serve these like warm from the oven, perfect. But, you know, scones, like, they're at their best like the day you make them. But, you know, really, you can cover and store them for a day or two. They'll be fine. You could always reheat them a little. So, look at that. Wonderfully soft, tender. The buttermilk, I should have said, does make your baked goods nice and tender. And of course, I like butter. Now think about it, because we didn't put any butter into the scones like I normally do, so we can have it on top of them. Because we can feel good about like soda bread, because really low in fat. Of course, it'd be even better if you didn't put butter on it, but I have to. Oh. I really like Irish soda bread. Crisp outside crust, wonderfully soft and tender inside, and of course the butter. Well, I'll say again, perfect. For breakfast, I like to put a little jam on there, or a lot of times I like, you know, if I do with soups or stews or something like that, a piece of cheese, nice sharp cheddar cheese or whatever cheese of your choice, but you know, a really nice, easy bread. You know, I like making yeast breads, but when you want something really quick, really good, this is the bread for you. So you must try them. And until next time, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joyofbaking.com.